Welcome back to our math class. Let's start our lesson for today with a story problem. And the title of today's story is More is Less. A group of construction workers are asked to polish a certain road. If 5 men can finish the said job in 30 days, how long will it take 10 men to finish the job? To answer this kind of word problem, we need to apply the concept of inverse proportion. But what is an inverse proportion? An inverse proportion is when an increase in one quantity causes the decrease of the other quantity, or it is when a decrease in one quantity causes the increase of the other quantity. That is why it is called an inverse proportion. Inverse means opposite. So if one quantity increases, the other decreases, or vice versa. The quantities in this kind of proportion affect each other in the opposite way. Unlike in direct proportion. If you still remember, in a direct proportion, if one quantity increases, the other also increases. Or if one quantity decreases, the other also decreases. That is why inverse proportion is also called an indirect proportion because it is the opposite of direct proportion. Now, let us understand why we need to apply the concept of inverse proportion in our story problem of the day. It is given that if 5 men will be polishing a road, it will take them 30 days to finish the job. Now, what do you think will happen if there will be more men who will do the same job? Will it take them more days or lesser days to finish the job? That's right. Ideally, if there are more men working together to polish the road, we expect that they will be able to finish the job faster than 5 men. Okay, so again, if you will increase the number of construction workers from 5 men to 10 men, we expect that they will be able to finish the job earlier or faster than 30 days. Therefore, we can conclude that the number of workers is inversely proportional to the time needed to finish a certain job. Because again, the more men work together, the faster the job will be done. Or, the lesser men work together, the slower the job will be done. Now, how will we solve this problem using inverse proportion? Just like in direct proportion, it will be easier for us to identify the relationship between the quantities if we will put them in a table like this one. So we have the number of men and the time or the number of days it will take them to finish the job. It is given that if there are only 5 men, they will finish the job in 30 days. Now we are asked to find the number of days it will take 10 men to finish the same job. Again, just like what I mentioned earlier, if you increase the number of workers, we expect that it will take them shorter period of time to finish the job. Okay. Now, this time, since we are dealing with inverse proportion, we will not use cross multiplication to answer the problem. Instead, we will multiply the quantities on the same row to find the value of n. So that means we'll multiply 5 and 30 and 10 and n. So let's have it here. We will have 5 times 30 will be equal to 10 times n. Again, we will not use cross multiplication because this is not a direct proportion. We are now dealing with inverse proportion, quantities that are inversely proportional to one another. So we will multiply the quantities on the same row. 5 times 30 will give us 150 and 10 times n will give us 10 times n. And for us to find the value of n, we will just divide 150 by 10. And 150 divided by 10 will give us 15. Okay, that means the value of n is 15. Okay. Therefore, it will take 15 days for 5 or for 10 men to finish the same job. So it is much faster than 30 days if there are only 5 men working on the job. Now let's try some more examples. If 9 workers can build a wall in 10 days, how long will it take 6 workers to build the same wall? Again, let's start our solution with a table. It is given that 9 workers can build a wall in 10 days. Now we are asked to find how long or the number of days it will take 6 workers to build the same wall. Ideally, if you will decrease the number of workers that will build the wall, it will take them longer period of time to finish the job. So again, if there is a decrease in the number of workers, there will be an increase in the number of days it will take them to finish the job. So this is again an example of an inverse proportion. And for us to answer inverse proportion, we will multiply the quantities or the numbers on the same row. So we will have 9 times 10 is equal to 6 times n. 9 times 10 will give us 90. And we'll have 6 times n. To find the value of n, we'll just simply divide 90 by 6. And this will give us 15. So the value of n is 15. So as you can see, since we decrease the number of workers, the number of days it will take them to finish the wall increased. Now let's try another example. But first, again, let us remember that if there will be less number of people or workers, it will take them longer time to finish the task. But if there will be more people or workers working together on the job, it will take them shorter time to finish the task. Next example, at a speed of 60 kilometers per hour, a car takes 20 minutes to travel a certain distance. At what speed must it travel this distance if it is to take only 15 minutes? Okay, let's have our table. So the quantities we have in the problem is speed because of the kph and time indicated by minutes. So if a car is traveling at a speed of 60 kilometers, it is given that it will cover a certain distance within 20 minutes. Now, if you would like to finish or cover the same distance in 15 minutes only, what do you think should you do with your speed? Should you decrease your speed or should you increase the speed? Correct. So ideally, if you would like to cover a certain distance in a shorter period of time, you have to increase your speed. Okay, so a decrease in time causes an increase in speed. So again, this is an example of quantities which are inversely proportional. And for us to answer a problem which deals with inverse proportion, we will multiply the numbers or the quantities on the same row. So we will have here 60 times 20 is equal to n times 15. 60 times 20 will give us 1,200. Then we'll have n times 15. Okay. For us to find the value of n, we'll just divide 1,200 and 15. Okay. Let's try here 8. We have 8 times 5, that will be 40. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 4, that's 12. Then we'll have 0. 0 divided by 15 is 0. Okay. Therefore, the value of n is 80. Okay. So again, if you want to cover the same distance in a lesser period of time, you have to increase your speed. So from 60, it should be 80. So slower speed will take you longer time to arrive at your destination. And faster speed will let you arrive at your destination in a shorter period of time. But remember to always be careful. Let's have another example. A farmer has enough feeds for 72 ducks for 14 days. If he sells 16 ducks, how long will the feeds last? Let's start our solution with a table like this. It is given that the farmer has 72 ducks and he has enough feeds for those ducks for 14 days. Now we are asked to find how long will the same amount of feeds last if he sells 16 of his ducks. Okay, so we put n in under the days because this is the question being asked. Now, should I put 16 under the ducks? No, because 16 ducks is the number of ducks sold by the farmer. So what we need to put here is the remaining number of ducks. And how will we get that? We simply have to subtract 72 and 16 for us to know how many more ducks were left to the farmer. Okay, and 72 minus 16 will give us 56. So we'll put 56 here. Okay. And again, this is an example of an inverse proportion because we expect that if there will be less number of ducks, if there will be lesser ducks, we expect that the feeds will of course last for a longer period of time. Therefore, we'll multiply numbers or the quantities on the same row. Okay, so we'll have here 72 times 14 is equal to 56 times n. And 72 times 14, okay, let's solve it here, will give us, okay, this will be 1008. Then we'll have 56 times n. For us to find the value of n, we will divide 1008 by 56. Okay, we'll have here 1. Then this will give us 4, and this will be 4 as well. Okay, now let's try 8. We'll have 8 times 6, that will give us 48. 8 times 5 is 40 plus 4, that's 44. Therefore, it will, the feeds will last for 18 days if the farmer only has 56 ducks left. Again, if there will be less consumer, the supply will last longer. And if there will be more consumer, we expect that the supply will last shorter. And that's it for our lesson for today. You did very well.